Good evening. I'm Donna with Sparrowstudios7. If you've been paying attention to what I've been doing tonight, I'm reading Genesis 1, as I did in last video, and I'm doing a series that God's called me to called I Read and I Learn. So I'm going through a study Bible and looking at all the commentary that they put along with Genesis 1. For example, Genesis 1:1, 2 through 3, through chapter 2 through 3. So, it doesn't cover, we'll read chapter 2 tomorrow, Genesis 2. But here's what, to sum up, here's what the study Bible says about it. Okay? These verses introduce the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis through Deuteronomy, and teach Israel that God was created, ordered, and populated by the one true God, and not by gods of surrounding nations. God blesses 3 specific things: animal life in chapter 1, verses 22 through 25, human life, chapter 1, 27, verse 27, and the Sabbath day, which we'll talk about tomorrow. That'll be in chapter 2, verse 3. This trilogy of blessings highlights the Creator's plan. Humankind was made in God's image to enjoy sovereign dominion over the creatures of the earth and to participate in God's Sabbath rest. So I don't know if I have time to read everything that they have in the study Bible. Just to be completely honest with you. But I would like to talk about my thoughts also on creation. So I'm going to read at least one more thing out of this, and then I'll expound upon it a little bit, okay? So what it says about Genesis 1:1, the very first verse, is, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." This statement summarizes the entire creation account in chapter 1, verse 3 through chapter 2, verse 3. Already a key question: who created the world? Is answered. You can also look at Proverbs 8:22 through 31 and John 1:1 through 3 if you're curious. Although the modern naturalistic mindset rejects this question and that of creation's purpose, Genesis affirms God's role and purpose in creation. The common name for God, Hebrew, is Elohim, emphasizes his grand supremacy. The word Elohim is plural, but the verbs with it are usually singular, reflecting the consistent scriptural proclamation of a single all-powerful God who created. The Hebrew word for created is bara. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. In the Old Testament, God is always the agent of creation expressed by this verb. It describes the making of something fresh and new, notably the cosmos, humankind, the Israelite nation, and the future new creation. In Isaiah 65:17, the heavens and the earth are the entire ordered cosmos. Feeney has decided that the bone is not going to keep him quiet and he wants to play. Give me one moment, please. Alright, hopefully that'll keep him busy for a few more minutes. But essentially, Genesis 1 explains day by day, over 6 days, how God created the world. Now, as a Christian, I firmly believe this. I also believe that time is something that God also created and that he is outside of it. feel free to debate everything that I'm saying here. There's been historical documentation over the years verifying the Bible. I'm just here to talk about my belief in God and to give you some more insight into the Bible. That's it. Really easy. So, Genesis 1 is beautiful because it starts with God saying a word. The word, let there be light. And it ends on the sixth day. Yes, Feeny, dogs were created in 6 days. Thank you. The sixth day of humanity being created. And he created them male and female. So the way that God does this is beautiful because he starts with nothing and he adds building blocks of how the universe operates. He starts with light and with water and with air, and then he moves on to the sun and the moon and the stars. He starts creating animals, both in the ocean and on the ground. He starts creating plants. And then after he created this beautiful cosmos that is beyond anything that we could possibly understand, he sticks 2 people in this beautiful world that he's created. And he created them in his image. That means you're created in his image, and I'm created in his image. Whether you believe in him or not is obviously your choice. But at the end of the day, according to the Bible, he created it all. And if you stare enough at nature and how everything is created, I personally believe that science and the Bible are pretty interconnected. You can't have one without the other. Some other notes that's just verse 1, even though I've gone pretty much through the chapter. This is the notes that it says on chapter 1, verse 2. Chapter 1, verse 2 of Genesis gives background for the summary in the first verse, and the detailed description in chapters 1 through 2, 1:3 to 2:3, like I mentioned before. God's creative utterances bring order to the chaotic state of the universe. It went from formless and empty. The Hebrew that says is tohu and bohu. This terse idiom means something like wild and waste. It sets a stark contrast to the final ordered state of the heavens and the earth. Deep waters, or in Hebrew, Tehom. Some scholars say that this alludes to the Mesopotamian goddess Tiamat, representing chaos. I'm learning some of this too, by the way. But Genesis views Tehom as inhospitable chaos, not as a deity or goddess, like God engaged in cosmic battle. The Spirit of God directly superintended the creation process. So you are free to find this book or other study Bibles as I'm going through this and to see what you think. Those are some thoughts of mine and study Bibles on Genesis 1, and I hope it blessed you. See you tomorrow. God bless.